And after all of the parts had been accounted for, the POC technician would put all of the parts of the babies for the day in a red biohazard Ziploc sort of bag, and she would then put them into a freezer that was in our POC lab that the staff jokingly called the nursery. And once a week, a company like Stericycle, a biohazard medical waste company, would come in. They would pick up all the frozen bags of babies. They would take them back to their facility where they were incinerated. And that's how abortion takes place in our country every day, over 3,000 times a day.
After the abortion is performed, the fetal tissue, the aborted child, is suctioned into a glass container. That glass container goes into a lab called the POC lab, the POC lab. That officially stands for Products of Conception. However, in Planned Parenthood, the joke was that it stood for Pieces of Children. And the tissue would be dumped into a glass baking dish. A little water would be squirted in there, and the POC technician, who is not medically trained in any way, would then begin pulling the parts of the baby away from each other, and depending on what was ordered by the company that we were going through. We personally went through Amphioxus Cell Technologies at Planned Parenthood and Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast, and we would pick out, depending on what was ordered, whether it was eyes, liver, the entire body. Babies are always dismembered during abortion procedures, whether it's through a D&E or an aspiration procedure. It is very rare to get intact tissue unless you are doing a procedure over 16 weeks gestation. Many times they would also be ordering extremities, legs, arms, the calvarium, which is the skull, the head. We would piece these parts and then we would put them into a biohazard Ziploc bag. That would go into a styrofoam container that had dry ice in it. That would go into our freezer that was already in the POC room. The freezer was jokingly called the nursery inside of our abortion facility. That was where all of the babies were held until a company called Stericycle would come and either take them for biohazard waste, or we would ship them to the Amphioxus Cell Technology Company. Generally, in our studies that we did, we received $200 in compensation per baby that was sent. I can assure you that there is no additional charge for collection, preservation, or storage of fetal tissue. The only additional expense would be shipping, and that's between $5 to $10 per specimen, not $200. That is sheer profit for Planned Parenthood.
POC technician would dump everything out into a glass baking dish, reassemble the parts of the baby, then put all of the pieces of every baby that we aborted that day into a plastic bag. That plastic bag went into a freezer, which the staff called the nursery. And once a week, Stericycle, or it was always Stericycle for us, would come and pick up the aborted babies, take them back to their facility to be incinerated. Now, I knew that that's the way that abortion takes place. That's the only way that I knew abortion to take place, because I had only worked at Planned Parenthood.
We would, make all kinds of concoctions out of those baby parts. I was wondering, how does that happen? How does the pipeline from the procedure to laboratories? They said they were working on cancer research. That's all I knew. But later I came to understand that those were real baby parts. Yeah. And I was wondering, how does that work?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you for that. So Cecile Richard, did y'all watch her on George Stephanopoulos? Okay. And bless her heart, she sat up there and I lied. And in a nutshell. She sat up there and she said that without fetal tissue research, we would not have the major breakthroughs we have in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and even the Ebola vaccine was created from fetal tissue. Well, I'll have you know that the Ebola vaccine was derived from stem cells, not from humans, from monkeys, not humans. No fetal tissue, no stem cells from fetal tissue or embryonic tissue was used in the creation of the Ebola vaccine. And to date, you know how many breakthroughs we have seen in the field of cancer, Parkinson's, or Alzheimer's research because of embryonic or fetal stem cells? Zero. That is an antiquated science. And any researcher that is worth their salt will tell you that the future of stem cell research is in adult stem cell research, and that is ethically procured. And so I think it's important for us to know these sorts of facts when we're talking to people, because I think even in the break of all these videos, you know, I've had pro-lifers contact me and say, okay, Abby, I'm pro-life and I think abortion is terrible, but if they're gonna have an abortion anyway, can't we use that tissue for something good? See, their marketing, Planned Parenthood's talking points, has been so good and so deceptive that they've even confused some people who are pro-life. So we need to know the science, we need to know the facts, and a great, great place that you can go to get information is a research company called the Charlotte Lozier Institute, L-O-Z-I-E-R. It's a part of the Susan B. Anthony list, and they've got some great information out there from leading stem cell researchers talking about how, you know, this embryonic stem cell research and fetal tissue research is just old, it's outdated, and nothing good has come from it. So I encourage you to do your research and find out more about that. But this year, because of this award, I got to sit at table number 1. I got to sit at the head table with the recipient of the Margaret Sanger Award that year, who was, any guesses? Hillary Clinton. I know you're fans, stop it. But I was so excited. I mean, this woman was my role model. I wanted to be just like her. This was fantastic. I was so excited. Hillary and I had a very intimate dinner, me, her, and 10 Secret Servicemen, and I remember watching her walk up to receive this award, this very honored award. I watched her walk up to receive it, and she, you know, gave this speech. I don't remember what she said. I'm sure it was riveting. And I remember looking at her and thinking, wow, you know, one day I want to be that. I want to be just like her. I believed wholeheartedly that the unborn did not feel pain until 28 weeks.
Right.
That's what I had been told by Planned Parenthood. That's what I had then in turn told all of these women that asked me if their baby was going to feel pain. That was a very common question that I got.
Right.
And so I was shocked to witness this. And, I mean, I knew better, right? I mean, science tells us that that's not true. My experience told me that that wasn't true. I mean, I remember my daughter when she was like 22, 23 weeks, she'd be kicking me like crazy and I'd poke her and she'd kick me back, right? Because she could feel what was taking place inside of her home. Babies in the womb, they start sucking their thumb in the womb at 12 weeks. Why? Because they can feel it, because it makes them feel calm, because it feels good to them, because they feel. I knew it was a lie. But I had to believe the lie because the truth was far too inconvenient.